Welcome back to AI War 2, everybody. We're going to take a look at the setup for our second game today. Strategy actually begins before you start the game. It'll be a custom start this time, and we're going to be going through this one quite a bit more quickly, a lot more time skipping, less exposition, but there will be some. I want to get into some advanced concepts here. It is going to be assumed that you know the basics of the game. And if you haven't seen it already, I do highly recommend watching the beginner walkthrough. Link to that will be in the description. I'm not going to be reiterating the fundamental mechanics that are in that. Title of this campaign is The Real War Begins, because we are no longer handicapping the AI. We'll get into those settings in a bit, but first of all, our map. Simple type of map. Generalist map, planets are spread evenly, connected to their nearest neighbors. There tend to be not as many connection between maps. That makes things a bit easier. The map type, I think, makes a bigger difference even in this game than it did in Classic. So, like, how much interaction you want between the planets, how complicated you want the different wormhole connections to be, that's important. A simple linking algorithm, and then I don't like the big circle or the rectangular one's pretty blocky, so went with that. And of course, Kahuno's real stars. The standard number of planets for Classic, and roughly so for this game, I would say, is 80. So we're going with that. One of the most important strategic decisions we're actually going to make is simply, where's our homeworld? Again, there are no bonus ship types like in the Classic, but if you take a look, like, it's always going to default to Murdoch, and we're going to go wherever from there. We would have two wormholes on almost directly opposite sides there. Now, consider, for example, something like Eotax. There you'd have four wormholes, and I've seen people who don't really know the game particularly well try to start out in a situation like this. It tends not to go too well for them, because your defenses are spread so thin. It's hard to guard against that many locations at once, and it can make for an interesting challenge. But if we are looking to do well, if we are looking to make things easier on ourselves, we definitely don't want to start there. Where I'm going to start is up here in the corner, in Omega 11. And here you can see there's only one wormhole, one way in, and then we can easily establish a one-planet buffer here in Blue Wonder. And we also may want to consider, for example, we might be able to grab Tamaria, and if this ends up being a reasonably good system to block off, then we could actually make this an economic station potentially. And so that type of thing is worth considering. And this would be the optimal kind of situation, except if the string was even longer, obviously it'd be better. But to begin the game with a location where you've just got to grab one system, only one way in, and we'll see more about why that is going forward. Okay, so factions. Here we go. And it's useful to set everything to different colors. In the first game we had one AI, and here you can see we're obviously doing a little bit more than that. Starting with what we've got, there's all kinds of different fleets. They added the bomber fleet more recently. The Classic fleet really has a nice versatility to it. It's not at all a bad start. The cloaked fleet, pretty much as it says, goes more with stuff that is good for avoiding detection. I'm obviously a big fan of the parasites, but we featured them a bit in the first game, and they're really good at creating zombies. They're not as good at attacking enemy defenses. And so they require a little bit more of a deft touch, in my opinion, particularly starting with them early in the game. The raid fleet does what it says, moves fast, strikes hard. A lot of people are big fans of the dagger. The door kicker fleet, and that's good for really establishing a presence on an enemy world. The siege frigates are always nice long term. You've got some crowd control capability. You can see the pulsar tank that supercharges one of its weapons when it uses a wormhole. So these are very good at getting into a difficult system. Consumer fleet, very good at metabolizing the enemy. And you've got some long range with the sniper frigate and some attack with the fusion bomber. The bomber fleet, they've nuked, or not nuked, they have reduced sort of excessive damage for higher level fusion bombers. But they are still quite good. To begin the game, these can be very nice at getting off to a fast start, being able to take out enemy defenses in the first couple of systems until you build things up. So I think that they're a nice one when you're still sort of learning, figuring things out. And that's what we're going to stick with here. Then the defenses starting battle station, and this you can really go any direction on. I think all of these have something to say for them. The classic, grenade launcher, concussion turrets, those are nice. I do not like the ambush turrets, and I will get into why probably in the next episode. Shield defenses, there's a lot to be said for this. You got the shield wall battle station. Plasma turrets and beam cannons are very strong. Tritium sniper turrets, unlimited range, and they're good at eliminating large numbers of enemy ships. The eclectic defenses, as it says, a little bit of everything. Concussion, plasma, you got extra tractor arrays, which I really like. You've got minefields and sentry frigates. The mine layer defenses, various types of minefields, and then grenade launchers and Teslas. Generally, I'm not as big of a fan of mines because just once they blow up, they've done what they're going to do. Now, they're still good. Just compared to turrets, I'd rather have turrets than mines if you have the choice. And web defenses, which is what we're going to go with, and that's because of the spider turrets. Their ability to just slow down the enemy is really big. We saw it in the first game of the Defense of Greyshire, and we're going to be seeing it again. And then the MLRS is good for crowd control. They attack multiple enemies. Nucleophilic turrets we haven't seen before. Be nice to take a look at them. And they're good against high energy attacking ships. And of course the tractor arrays. The tachyon array on the battle station is not the most exciting one for me. Like if I could do like the shield wall battle station with this set of turrets, I would even go with that. That'd probably be even better. But of the choices that we have, again, you can go either way. I'm going with the web defenses basically because starting with the spiders is, in my opinion, a very big advantage. And we will definitely be seeing more of that. And then the support fleet. The standard combat factory, which we used last time. 5 combat engineers and a sentry frigate. The Rejuvenator factory, improved repair capability, has 10 combat engineers. That's the main reason you would want that. Then the Overloader factory helps speed up allies in the same planet, but compared to that, it only has 3 engineers. So it all sort of depends on how you want to use your support fleet. I really like the additional engineers to just get things done faster. And I'm going to leave these alone. Okay, so the AIs, we're going with difficulty 7. Before we had simple ensemble. These are more varied in terms of what types of ships they can throw at you. And so we're basically just going with the standard full package here. At difficulty 7, the AI has all of its sort of tactics available to it, basically. In Classic, there was some edge case behavior that could be unlocked up to difficulty 8. I don't know if that's still the case here. But for the very least, it's a fully competent AI. And you can fully judge in this game both my skills as a player and the AI reaction in terms of its intelligence. Nothing is sort of hidden behind this is newbie tutorial difficulty. And one thing to understand about the difficulty is, like, there's the note on this one first, that top developer Chris Park only wins about a third of the time, playing in sort of a relaxed fashion on difficulty 7. It is still the general opinion of players that we're still a little bit easier than Classic was. And that makes sense for this point in the game, especially the higher level difficulties, which is one of the reasons why I'm sticking on this difficulty. It makes more sense that they've said that, look, the developers aren't playing a lot just to mainly test things, And as players play more and more on the high-level difficulties, they're going to make adjustments and tweak things. And so I think it makes sense to save those super high difficulties for later. Plus, one of my goals with this game is that the first one we did, basic mechanics, some strategy. If you can win on this type of setup that I've got, then what you're looking at is a situation where you should be able to consider yourself a competent player. You're no longer a rank beginner if you could succeed here. And, 7 has just traditionally been the standard. It's the point at which you sort of can decide, okay, I'm ready to really dive deep into this game and try things out on higher difficulties, or, this is enough for me. It just sort of tends to separate those types of things. So we went with a basic standard AI types, base-oriented and intelligent predator, difficulty 7, and the second AI is a different color, but it's got the exact same settings. We could always go into more exotic AI types in the future, but this is what we have for now. Then the Devour Golem, aka the Cookie Monster, brown, and it's hostile to everybody. So we're going to be seeing that wandering around doing its various things. We've got for yellow the Human Resistance Fighters at the standard 5 strength. They will show up and assist us in our battles from time to time. And then we have the Marauders a little bit on the weak side because they're very double-edged. They're going to help us but also hurt us. And they can really explode if you let them get out of control. So for our first standard game, to throw them up really high would probably not have been the wisest thing in the world. Now, of course, there are many other factions. And by the way, I tested this out. You can add like 12, 15 different factions in here. You can do all kinds of stuff. Chaos is certainly possible. But we're not doing, the Risk Analyzers, Astro Trains, Dark Spire, Macrophage, Nanocost, the Zenith. So we're not throwing a ton of stuff at this. Now, the two AIs do make things a little bit different in the endgame. And they also make things quite a bit harder. The difficulties go up exponentially. So the difference from 4 to 5 is not as big as the difference from 5 to 6, which isn't as big as the difference from 6 to 7, etc. So going from 1 difficulty 4 AI to 2 difficulty 7 AIs is a big step up. They actually get less budget per AI when you put more of them, but their economy is actually greater overall when you combine the two together. So there's going to be more resistance. There's going to be less room because we had a 100-planet galaxy last time, and now we're having an 80-planet galaxy plus 2 homeworlds, 2 sets of AI core worlds around those. So there's going to be sort of a smaller amount of reasonable access that we're going to have. And then we've got these other things messing about. And so this is generally a good traditional, I'm ready for serious resistance, but not going insane type of setup. And then in the options, I've only done one thing really here to switch things up. And that is I've added on the blood and the water stuff. So they will get a bonus AI progress if they destroy any of our human command stations. And they will also get a bonus to their hunter fleet every time that I do that. I have not changed any of this other stuff. This is all on default. Now, I should say that I think the wave warning was large. It was 7 minutes and change. I think it was on the, or not large, long. Yeah, on the first quick start that we did for the beginner walkthrough. So it's down to medium here. It's not going to be quite as long. So if we pop in here, okay, and this is all familiar. We've seen all this fun stuff before, except for that's a little bit different graphic. It's the battle station. And I'm going to make this sort of a short video this time because I want to spend a lot of time in the next session really hammering in on the optimal way to set up your defenses. And so I want to sort of split that off in its own episode. But we are underway, having taken the gloves off the AI and thrown a couple of them out there. We will see if we're up to the challenge of AI War 2 at something resembling the standard level. The adventure will properly begin next time. Till then, thanks for watching. The real war will continue soon.